Hey guys, welcome back to the Paladins Alliance. I know IEM Winter is still going on right now and Astralis were eliminated, but I do want to talk about their debut at the Blastfall Finals. And it's been a very good event for them, all things considered, right? They came in third place. They lost to Vitality twice to get eliminated, but it was still impressive to see a team that had a lot of question marks surrounding their lineup and were still able to perform well. Obviously, there are a lot of intangibles working in their favor with the Copenhagen crowd. And we saw obviously at IEM Winter, they weren't necessarily bringing us the kind of high level competition that we were expecting to see from them because, again, there are a little bit of intangibles in the sense that Glaive was playing very well. We don't know how experienced he is necessarily on the AWP role and the longevity of his role, especially. So the player in specific that I want to talk about is K0nfig, right? K0nfig is an enigma to me, right? So basically, you have so many different players that have undergone wrist injuries and not been able to bounce back from it at all. So you have Fur that comes to mind. You have Guardian, obviously one of the biggest examples of it, and most recently Poison as well. All going through these major injuries to their professional career and having to take a step back. And none of them were really truly able to come back to form. Maybe Poison to some extent, but Guardian never really showed up that true promise. Same for Fur, you don't really see him on a big team anymore because of it. But K0nfig really had that same thing happen to him. He had a big wrist injury, and we were thinking that there wasn't more to his story, and perhaps he will never bounce back from it. But he's really bucked all trends. Obviously, he didn't have a great tournament at IEM Winter, but this Blastfall final is just such a triumph in my eyes for a player that's been basically facing setback after setback with how complexity would played out, still playing out of his mind before his injury. And I thought that he had so much to offer before he did have that wrist injury that I'm just shocked that he showed that same level of quality at the Blastfall Finals. And I want to do a couple of demo reviews for him. So let's jump into those demos, and I want to showcase a couple of really key rounds and how the old K0nfig is still there and with a little bit more tricks of the trade of the Astralis system and how he's going to really be a force to be reckoned with in 2022. So on the live desk that I was on with Thorn and I believe Haka, we had to break down this match here, Astralis and NIP, and we were all firmly in favor of NIP because of how many question marks there were around Astralis, especially in the map pool and such. And we saw that they brought out Mirage out of all of the maps in the map pool, ones that they haven't played since like way back when they won the E-League major, right? So after all that's said and done, I still want to break down how explosive K0nfig is on the T side and how valuable he is in this Nuke system that Astralis has had. So with K0nfig being as explosive as he is, I really think that they can shoot up the ranks of becoming a great Nuke team. And it'll be definitely a crown jewel in their map pool going forward. And it all starts with this very simple round. I haven't really picked out something that is too analytically heavy, but it's just a round to really ease us in to show how impressive his overall aim is right now. And this is very early on in the tournament. It's the opening round. And you really thought that he would take time to get into the series. But you saw here, crisp kill onto a blind S tag, and an even better kill on a Plopsky that already had his vision restored. Although he is dead to rights there, it's still mad impressive to see how he just executes Plopsky there outright. And as soon as the bomb goes down, this is a K0nfig play that we know and love, where he decides to play around the smoke. This is a situation that can really easily fall apart, especially if he dies in mini. But we know that K0nfig likes to take those bold peaks, and it'll really add to the depth of Astralis, because back then, you know, in prime Astralis era, there weren't necessarily situations where you had an X Factor type player that would aggress down into smokes or really buck the trends of the system that they had in place. But now that you have K0nfig, in those 4v3 situations where the tides might be able to be turned if there is a kill coming from heaven or mini, K0nfig is able to abuse the smokes, and usually where Astralis sits back in those smokes, K0nfig aggresses forward and surges forward and kills device and basically snuffs out any chance of an NIP retake. And it basically snowballed them into winning this map against NIP and 2-0ing them in a shocking affair that I thought was mad impressive, all things considered. And this round necessarily peters out, but let's keep going and showcase another round of K0nfig's brilliance on Nuke here. So building on the importance that K0nfig has on Nuke, I want to showcase how he's also able to manipulate rotations on the outside things as well. So we showcased in that previous round how he was able to execute players in the inner bomb site with a swift inner bomb site execute. But now I also want to showcase how when he goes outside, he still has this aura of determination and execution that has just absolutely elevated Astralis's X Factor abilities. And going forward, when that structure of glaive comes into play, we're going to have a very powerful piece of K0nfig to buck any trends that other teams might be able to struggle in anti-stratting, right? So let's break it down. K0nfig immediately just drops his Molotov, jumps up on the silo, and has blameF coming on the lower part of things. And while all of this is happening, Device decides to go aggressive and gets a kill off onto blameF, his complexity partner in crime. So while all this is happening, K0nfig is able to bait out a shot from Device, and at this point, he's well aware that he can take care of Device because in this situation, Device is going to know that he's in a compromised position. He could be swung on from Marshmallow, and he can also be swung on from any of the T's coming from the bottom of Marshmallow. So he wants to get out of the situation, and K0nfig plays with him very beautifully in this situation. Executes him outside, and now a big proponent of the outside control that NIP has is now completely eradicated. While all this is happening, Xyp9x does get a kill. I believe, yeah, it's in the ramp situation. So now K0nfig has a decision to make. He can either go down to secret to join in with his teammates, or he can search for more in the outside position. And we all know how K0nfig plays this game. He will always take more than he probably should be taking, and since his aim is so good, he can take even more space for Astralis and really clamp down on this 8th round for them here. So he just keeps prodding on the outside, and we know how Hampus likes to lurk, and K0nfig executes him on the outside. And even though it's a 2-man advantage, both of the players on NIP are on the bottom bomb site, and there's still an opportunity for NIP to perhaps take scalps off and get back into this round. But while all this is happening, glaive is on the upper bomb side of things, and K0nfig has all this outside control, and he can just walk into mini for free. So he walks into mini, he realizes both players on the lower bomb side, takes all of this space for Astralis, and they easily get an 8th, right? And this is all because of how instrumental K0nfig is in the Astralis system, in the sense that he isn't part of the system sometimes. They kind of just let him off the leash. Glaive just lets him off the leash, lets him do whatever he wants on the outside, and especially after getting the kill on Device, he can just snowball that round into getting a kill onto Hampus on the outside as well. And it provides so many options and provides a myriad of tools for Glaive to play with on Astralis. And with that, you can really use that concept across all maps in the map pool. And I'm going to show rounds across the map pool, and we see how competitive they are because of it, because of how good K0nfig is at opening the map on CT side and being an absolute rock on CT side of things as well. On Mirage, K0nfig is an absolute rock on the B bomb side, and he showcased how he can play with the double op very efficiently on that side of the map. But on Overpass, he's a little bit more malleable in how he plays his CT sides. He is a little bit more of a B-anchor, but he's very willing to play that rotator position back onto the A bomb side, and we'll see how malleable he is on the CT side here against NIP on map 2. So immediately out the gates, he throws a smoke to block off Monster, basically any fast B presence that any NIP want to capitalize on. He stops it, and then he throws a flash as well to help facilitate Xyp9x to peek in a Monster and spots nothing. And this feels like Lucky will be able to easily cross back into the B bomb site, but Device plucks him. And with this pick, it feels as though they have all the pieces ready to make a B play, right? And while all this is happening, blameF has gone aggressive against Hampus, and they kind of have like all the pieces of the puzzle that, you know, maybe they will be going B here. But K0nfig spots Plopsky, and that's the important part of this round. Once he spots him, he starts to spam and really start to puff his chest with the fact that there are 3 players on this bomb site. And once Rez also gets a kill on glaive, now we only have 2, right? So he really wants to send home a message that there are a lot of players on this bomb site, that Molotov, from both of the players there, really try to send that message. And while all this is happening, blameF has gotten a lot of information that there's a lot of utility coming from the A side of things, so k0nfig just books it. After he puffs up his chest with the utility and the spamming through the wood wall, he moves all the way to the dice box, very fast, mind you. So NIP isn't necessarily aware of this, and it allows for blameF to go ham. And although he only gets 1 kill, this is where k0nfig's brilliant aim really steps up. He gets a brilliant kill on the S attack and then flicks back over to Rez, and now he only has 6 bullets, now 5 bullets in the mag, and still manages to kill the Vice. So brilliant aim showcased, but also very intelligent decision making as to what he should do in that B anchor situation, whether he should just leave Xyp9x, gamble stack on B, or pivot back over to A to help out blameF and really unlock their A potential here on Overpass. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen how good k0nfig is on the CT side of Mirage, but on the T side of Mirage, he really unlocked Astralis to push past the CT wall that FaZe Clan is very efficient at, especially on a map like Mirage, right? So on this map in specific, I just want to showcase what he brings to the table. Again, very similar to Nuke, that X factor that he's also good at bringing to a roster. So Brokey gets the opening kill on a blameF, and this is kind of where k0nfig wants to take matters into his own hands, even though nobody else on the team is really taking initiative. And Xyp9x gets a kill on the upper side of B, but olofmeister shuts things down a little bit. And while all this is happening, k0nfig wants to stay proactive. He gets the kill on the twists by self-boosting himself into snipers, and although he gets dinked for his troubles, look at how much space that he's taken for the team now. He now has all of snipers because, you know, as a CT, you probably wouldn't want to come in through murder hole and provide another kill, especially if you don't know where k0nfig has gone. You've gotten all of connector in that case, and since all of the B players were trying to fight whatever's going on in apps, they have all of cat as well. So all this space has now been taken by that 1 kill from k0nfig. So they flash through the con smoke and they try to call the bluff of FaZe, and it does work wonders because there's only 1 player in rain on this side of the map. So as that happens, this is an insane trade because of how low HP he is. It's a very easy double for rain, but k0nfig flicks over. It's absolutely stunning. Again, I have to talk about, this is him coming back from a wrist injury. You don't see players get kills like this that quickly out of the gates as just a recovering from an injury like this. So great trade for them to pull it back into the 2v2. At this point, you can get the bomb down, and he decides to take it 1 step further and aggresses into Brokey. I believe Brokey might have missed that shot there, but k0nfig still capitalizes. And at this point, he's well aware that glaive will just go searching for information. And we spotted Olaf. So we have the information. We have a flash as well to support glaive. And he's already proactive. He's assuming that even if glaive goes down, I want to change my position because if Olaf wins, he knows that I am stairs. So he, again, self-boots himself back into a jungle. So great awareness there. Switches over to the AWP. Has a beautiful line here to catch the cross. And we'll see here as Olaf crosses, he has no choice but to dry peek. And k0nfig will absolutely hit that shot every day of the week. Brings a 13th. Breaks the spell of around 5 rounds in a row for FaZe Clan. And spirals this round. And showcases how, with k0nfig and blameF, Astralis is now dangerous on Mirage as well. So I want to end this video off with a little bit more of like an eye candy round from k0nfig, especially with how he's been playing on this team. If he can keep up that same form that he's been having at Blast Fall Finals, much less than the IEM Winter form, then we can have a really, really great Astralis in 2022, especially if they figure out that opping problem that they have right now with Lucky and glaive. So in this round, Xyp9x does go down in banana, and after he does and glaive shoots a couple of pot shots down middle, this is kind of leaving Vitality thinking that, okay, well, we got to Astralis is thinking in this stage, we have to bolster down the B bomb side, especially now that Xyp9x, the B anchor, is dead. It might leave an inkling for Vitality to just aggress onto the B bomb side. And when k0nfig drops that Molotov, it allows some false information in for Vitality where they get abs for free basically after that Molotov is dropped. And Apex is well aware that he's caught a timing here on the players of Astralis, that there only realistically will be one player on the A bomb site. And so you see there, Glaive sees nothing in apartments after he drops a smoke, so he just departs. He says, I'm going to basically gamble stack in his 5v4 and head into B, but little to their knowing, K0nfig is the only person on the B bomb site, and he catches this beautiful, beautiful timing against Misuta and Kyojin and gets 2 kills, an even better one on the third. And this leaves Apex and Zywoo kind of scratching their heads. We caught a perfect time. We literally outread them here. How the hell did we lose this round? It's K0nfig, the spearman of Astralis, even though he goes down with 4 kills. It's all easy pickings for Astralis to get their first gun round on the board and really stick it to Vitality as much as they could in this series. So all in all, K0nfig is the X factor that Astralis really needs to reinvent themselves, reinvigorate themselves to be a true force in 2022. There are a lot of good pieces on Astralis, don't get me wrong, but obviously there's the issue of Lucky rifling in this situation and Glaive opping. We don't necessarily know the longevity of this strategy, so there will probably be a couple more moves that are needed to be done for this roster. But one thing stays the same. If K0nfig can be that force that he has been showing throughout this year, and way back when on North, and way back when on Dignitas as well, where he really made a name for himself, this Astralis lineup could be one of those lineups that come back to the same form that they showcased way back when in their prime era, where they were able to amass 4 majors. And it all predicates, I think, on how well K0nfig can show up and showcase the similar form that he had pre-injury. So if you like this type of content, again, subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1K by the end of the year. Hopefully we can reach that goal. And if you want to see more of this content, hit the like as well, and drop comments for any bit of feedback that you might have, or whether you want a couple more ideas in the pot of ideas that I have. So just let me know, and hopefully I'll be back very soon with a new video, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.